All right, I have 4 questions in here. The first question is, how can one help others that will suffer because a political leader does and send out toxic messages and empower hatred? How can one help others? There's really nothing you can do on that spur of a moment if you're sending out those messages. The first thing to do is to identify that is wrong, what is wrong and what is right. And when you know what is wrong and what is right, then you behave accordingly. In other words, you yourself don't behave that way. As far as what the political leader is talking about, I don't think you as an individual can change that much, but that doesn't mean that you are withdrawn from it. Depends on what position you're at. If you're also at the political platform doing the same thing, you may be able to change it. If you're not on the political platform, the only thing you can convey your opinion is on your vote. Practically, then you carry out your vote and do what you can do. Politics is very complicated. I have seen leaders who sound rude and sound with a lot of hatred, but when they are doing it, it's not exactly hatred and rudeness. On the other hand, some political leaders are so public relations oriented. They won't violate anybody. They won't get the media mad. But behind, they may have done something different. And also, as a monk, I'm not interested in politics right now. I'm a monk. I don't have any opinions about any politics. I think the most important is to if you really want to use politics to change the world, I think everybody has to realize we have to change ourselves first. Educate yourself, change. If everybody knows how to change oneself to go up to the right path, then the whole world would be a better place to live in. It's easy to see flaws in another person. You're wrong. This is not right. He's not doing the right thing. The same happened in the family. Start with the family. You could have seen something wrong with your brothers and sisters, even your mom and dad, your granddad, your grandmom, but how about yourself? The Buddhist teaching said you have to contemplate within, see yourself first, and then slowly people out see your changes. If after you study the Buddhist teaching, you become more tolerant, you become more generous, you become more compassionate, people outsiders sees the change in you, your energy, your opinion could affect them. So don't try to change something forcefully by changing the other person, because who would accept your opinion right away? Plus, you're not in politics. As a monk, I didn't have that much time to check with the TV and look at how people politically manipulating anything, because I don't have the time to get into politics. I don't have enough time even to practice, given all these chores and daily chores I have to do. So I'm not interested in politics. It does not mean that I hate politics. No, I didn't have that time, and it's too complicated for me. I'm only interested right now in how to improve myself, and based on the Buddhist teaching, how to convey the Buddhist teaching to improve others. That's the only thing I can do within one lifetime. I don't have any time to run for with politics. We have Justin Trudeau who visited us last year. And you know Justin Trudeau, who's the Prime Minister of Canada? He came here at Chinese New Year. I had lunch with him at the back, and I gave him a gift. I gave him the gift of a bamboo Buddha statue, the laughing Buddha with a big belly. I said, what the laughing Buddha has been practicing is tolerance and openness and compassion. And I boldly talked to him that that's what we require in the parliament, in politics. We must be open, we must be compassionate to think about other people, and we must tolerate the ambiguities of other people. And he laughed and said, hey, this is exactly what we want. So we were holding, I took pictures with the laughing Buddha. And is that what Buddhism talk about sometimes? Yes, that's exactly what Buddhism is talking about. Tolerance, compassion, and forgiveness, and openness. Maybe that's what politicians require. Maybe that's what politicians should do. Not a self-motive for one's own party. If we always think about compassion, we know that we always want to give. I think if all politicians think about giving and not just receiving, will I have the same term next year? And will my party be stronger? How long would I stand in here? Because of this position, will I gain in reputation and wealth and all that? If you're only talking about your self-interest, you wouldn't be a good politician. Politician is for the people. The country is by the people. So it's good to learn the Buddha's teaching, I said. Openness, tolerance, that's very important, and compassion. Compassion is to give. Openness and tolerance is a self-contemplation. So that's the only thing I can offer for this question. I don't know if I have answered it well, but I'm not good with politics. I can't differentiate the names of these political parties. I can't remember. But it's fun to talk to a politician, to talk to the Prime Minister last year about that. We'll hope that he's a young guy, and we hope that he's learning. And it's good that he came to this temple, because we told him the merits that we should be accumulated in learning the Buddha's teaching. And he may have a better understanding what Buddhism is all about. It's not about blind faith, prostration, burning incense, not about that. It's about how to give out, not to how you gain. Next question. Dear Venerable Quan Chung, we heard that you will give a meditation lecture in University of Hong Kong. What topic you will talk about? Will you consider to rerun this again in Buddhist temple, that we can have a chance to share your valuable views? The topic that I will be giving, I'll be away in March, in whole March, in the month of March. Then, the eight consciousness will be postponed forever. I've been talking about the whole year on consciousness, but it's good to review though. Good to review it again and again. The topic is how to overcome emotional challenges. That's the topic. When you are giving a talk in a university, you cannot be too religious. I mean, not everybody is a Buddhist, so I try to avoid being too religiously attached. So we're talking about emotional problems. Nowadays, we have more psychic problems than physiological sickness, and this is psyche, internal kind of sickness are difficult to heal. Many people suffer from depression, anxiety, phobia, you name it. So many of them suffer from this. And I heard that last night that a friend of mine called me up and said, in Hong Kong, people are getting to be very, a lot of people are unhappy with circumstances. And in the last 1 or 2 weeks, at least 2 cases of killing oneself in the subway, burn oneself up right in the middle of the track. A lot of emotional problems, yelling out, saying that who was wrong and what he's going to do. So a lot of emotional problems. And so our topic is on how to overcome emotional challenges. And what I would do is I would talk about how do emotions arise, where do emotions come from, and what types of emotions, and how can we overcome them. Various kind of subtopics. So that's what I'll be talking about. And then we'll do a videotaping, and then later we can show it in here. Any question on that?
How long are you talking?
How long is the lecture? It's too long for me. 3 hours. I don't know how long. Usually you don't give 3 hours of lecture. So, but then, in here, I talk about 2 slides and it took me half an hour. I usually have more slides than I can talk about. People who are joining me know I have a lot of slides coming out, and finally I end up with just explaining 1 slide, and that's already half an hour. So I have too much material, and what I need is how to streamline this material and simplify them, and try to give a good talk. I think in giving a talk, the most I have to remember is what they can get, not what I want to give them. You have to know the audience needs, not what you like them to know. So based on that background, based on that understanding, I'll try to do a good job. And also I would on the spot do meditation. I break it down into 2 sessions. Maybe 20 minutes of meditation and 20 minutes of explanations, and then we'll actually do anapanasati. Because if you give a talk theoretically, so a lot of these people say, when you talk to someone with depression, you don't give them all sorts of reasons. This is why you are depressed, the causes of depression, the theories behind, the philosophy behind. He knew all those. He can Google and they don't explain. They don't listen to reason. They only want you to stay by their side, spend your time with them, listen to them, support them. They don't need another person explaining what emotions are all about. Neither do they need a monk telling you where the emotions come from. I try to simplify where emotions come from, how do they arise, and I would like to put more time on actually how to do it, how to let go of it. When the first thought of depression comes up, how can you stop it? Telling the gatekeeper, say, stop that anxiety, that feeling of suicidal feeling, for example, in the depression. Stop that. Stop the flow of that thought. Because when the first thought comes up, first thought depression comes up, if you carry on to the next thought, second thought, third thought, it becomes a habitual tendency that you link on to it. So it's very important that you stop that flow. Telling the gatekeeper, stopped it. But it's difficult. How? You have to go through a mind control. The first is to stop, and then letting go of it. And then gear your attention to anapanasati, using that concentration as the object. How to let go of it. And also understand your own values. Don't put your values on how other people judge you. Usually people who are depressed, they think that this is how people look at me. They don't like me. They said that I have no values. And I have no values in my family. I have no values in my life. I'm useless. I'm hopeless. That's usually what they think about. Or they may suspect that other people are trying to harm them, follow them. I remember when I was a kid, I had a period where I suspect that I was being followed by my enemies. It was not true. And I still remember I had a fellow student at the University of Toronto when I was in my second year that he was a good student. But finally it ended up that his mom has to come here to bring him back to Hong Kong. You know why? Because in the second summer, every summer he went back to Hong Kong to have a holiday. And then he returned back to Canada for the new semester. And when he was going through customs, and somehow they checked the luggages. When they opened the luggages, they found nothing in there except a long knife and an axe. Well, how come you're carrying this long knife and an axe? No, I have to protect myself. Somebody in Chinatown is trying to kill me. Who's trying to kill you? I don't know. I know that someone's trying to kill me. That's the kind of feeling that he has. Too much pressure, too much tension, that he's always thought of being hurt. Actually, nobody is killing him, but he thinks that someone is killing him, following him. You see, depression is very complicated psychological sickness. A lot of people are getting that. And I have people here who come here and say, Reverend, I have a problem. I have a lot of people, some male and some female, whispering in my ears. That's another kind of psychological sickness. He thought that there are people around whispering into her ears. He had a lot of stress in the second year of university. Finally, he dropped out. He had to take 2 years off. A lot of problems with emotions. And as a monk, I like to give out the Buddhist teaching to tell them how to overcome them. Because Buddhism is that kind of study, the study of consciousness, the study of how to improve the mind, not about just believing in a God, in a Buddha, then you can get forgiveness. That's not what it is. Buddha points you the way. You have to take that way, contemplate on it, and learn about it, and you have to do it yourself. You have to walk your own steps. Nobody can walk it for you. If God can walk for you, He will have already done so. Nobody else can. You are your yourself, your savior. You are the master yourself, no others, internally. Your destiny is in your hands, not with God, not with Buddha. You know how valuable are you? You have that intrinsic godness, the Buddha nature, the Buddha tattva in you, that you haven't discovered. And Buddhism is to open your door so that you can explore into it and get that undiscovered diamond out and polished it. That's you. Next question. What's the significance and purpose of the ritual carried out by the practitioners before the meditation using the wooden swords and blocks? That is to put you into discipline. They're not going to hit you. That is to tell you, the planking on the floor is to tell you, because during the session, you go to the meditation room, you may do other things, hurry back. Don't go out to the farmland to puff. We've seen people like that. In the session, you know where they go to? Smoking in the farmland. So that planking is hurry back to do another session of meditation. And when you're going to the washroom, also be mindful not to think about anything else. The sword, the wooden sword we call is to, some people are doing like this when they're meditating. They're taking a nap, they dozed into sleepiness, then we correct the positions, telling that to come back awake. Okay, that's the purpose of the swords and blocks. I don't know what you mean by block. The block is the hitting of the floor, and the stick is the disciplined stick to change to correct your position. and to get you wake up if you're sleeping. Next question, what is the significance of the 6 tusks of the elephants in the parking lot? Usually elephants have only 2 tusks. Saintly elephants have 6 tusks. Those are the saintly elephants. They're very rare. 6 tusked elephants. And they were adorned with jewelries and a lot of exquisite ornaments on their body. There were 2 practitioners in the ancient times practicing meditation. And later, both of them became enlightened. They're monks. Both of them become enlightened. But they have different ways of practice. This monk, who later became the Arahat, practiced wisdom. And he studied every approach of the Buddhist teaching, actually do the meditation. He attained nirvana and become an Arahat based on wisdom. And this person, another monk, he practiced giving out compassion. He was always giving out and helping others. He didn't concentrate on building wisdom, but he concentrated on giving out giving out compassions and help and all that. And this, he didn't become an Arahat, and he was reborn as an elephant in the palace, being adorned with all different jewelries. He didn't have to do hard work. Elephants had to do hard work, tough work, but that elephant didn't have to do tough work. He had a lot. He enjoyed happiness. He had all kind of food. He was taken care by a lot of people, and he had all the adornments on his body. Because why? Because he gave out a lot in his previous lifetime, and now he's receiving all these merits. He didn't build up any wisdom. He still reincarnate into the animal realms, being an enjoyable, joyful elephant. But that Arahat who practiced wisdom became an Arahat. But in his next life coming down, he's still enlightened. He was also practicing, was also preaching the Buddhist teaching, but he had a problem. Nobody served him with any food. He had to work so hard to get his food and get his clothing that he didn't have time to talk about anything else, because he concentrated only in himself building up the wisdom. He never gave out. For someone who never gave out, you never get anything in return. So he was a poor, enlightened Arahat. Nobody cared about him. He was like a beggar, but he was enlightened. He only built up wisdom. He didn't care about any others. He just built up his own wisdom. So 2 extremes. He had his wisdom, but he suffered from he suffered from poverty. But this, enjoying himself in the palace with all of adornments, his elephant, he didn't have any wisdom, but he gave out a lot. So which one you prefer? The best is in the middle way. That's the best.